it brings to the surface the 80-20 rule. And if you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, there's a couple books on it. Just look up 80-20 rule and read about it. But basically, I'll give you the elevator version. 80% of the 20% of the stuff we do generates 80% of the results. Mm-hmm. So 20% of our activities generates 80% of the results. So we got to focus in on what is that 20%, and then really get more results because we're focusing in on what is the 20% of actions that generate 80% of the results. And that's what this exercise does. This exercise brings to the surface what are the things that we can do to accelerate our perceived long-term 12-month goals when they don't necessarily have to take 12 months, because it goes back to getting caught up in what's typical. What do other people do? How long does it take other people? And I am a proponent of putting in the daily effort, being consistent. I mean, clearly we have a podcast that is every single day for the last 2.5, 3 years. So I'm all about that. But the inspiration behind it was the story that I shared last week when my friend Jared Sturm had his first meetup in Atlanta, a city he just moved to, with his brother and all their family, Jared's wife, Andy's wife, his brother. And Jared had over 90 people at his first meetup that he hosted. And he got it by bringing in another group that was already meeting, and he basically took over that group because that other person didn't want to lead it anymore. And that got me thinking, well, what are some of the things I'm doing now that is taking longer than it's unnecessarily taking longer?
Okay.
When I could bring in a group like that, in that case, and make my stuff go faster. So it was how I approached it is I created a Word document and I just listed out some of the goals that I'm focused on in the next 12 months. And I was like, okay, how can I actually accomplish these in 1 month?
Okay. I approached it similarly. So the way I looked at it, I was like, all right, so I've got these 12 overarching kind of 12-month goals that I want to accomplish. And I figured that if I essentially followed my consistent daily routine 100% of the time, I'm just like, oh, well, I'll probably accomplish these goals a lot sooner than 12 months. And so it's kind of like these goals are assuming that I'm going to be kind of following my routine or my daily systems like half the time. And so kind of the way that I approached was figured out what are potential, I guess, obstacles or potential, I guess, things in general that would stop me from kind of realizing my daily routine or schedule 100% of the time. So what are sort of certain self-sabotaging things that I do or certain things that someone else would do that would make me not be able to basically follow what I say I'm going to do.
For example.
For example, let's say I plan. I'll use my morning routine, for example. So a goal I have is I want to accomplish my morning routine every single day, which is meditating, reading, journaling, and affirmations. So I want to do all 4 of those because I want to have a foundation for my day. Because I realize that whenever I don't do my morning routine, my day is just a complete mess. I basically accomplish nothing, right? And so it's going to be very difficult to accomplish any goals if I'm not really accomplishing anything during the day. And so a perfect self-sabotaging reason as to why I want to do my morning routine is because it's let's say I sleep in, but then I go, all right, well, why am I sleeping in? Okay, so I'm sleeping in because the night before I was up really late watching YouTube videos, whether they were positive or negative. Whether I was watching stupid cat videos, or I was watching something educational.
You don't watch cat videos.
I don't watch cat videos. For the record. And so it's like, all right, so I was basically going for, as we talk about all the time, instant gratification at night to watch, squeeze in one extra YouTube. I usually watch like lectures, like people giving lectures, like let's say like a TED Talk. It seems like at the time that might be a positive thing to do to learn, but it's making me stay up late, which makes me wake up in the morning and be like, well, I could get up into my morning routine, but I went to bed late last night. I know I need to get 8 hours of sleep, because that's so important. We've all been there. And so once I kind of figured out and I guess I'll get into my solution too, is once I started figuring out kind of what the root cause was as to why I was, let's say sleeping in. And it was because I was essentially doing what I actually wanted to do and kind of giving myself a reward at the end of the day for, let's just say, no reason, because I wasn't accomplishing what I wanted to do. And so instead of essentially doing it's kind of the carrot versus the stick. Do you punish yourself for not accomplishing it, or do you reward yourself when you actually accomplish it? And I'm more of a stick kind of person, and that just, for me personally, just does not work. And so I guess my overarching plan, or the overarching thing that I discovered when I was kind of writing out what was self-sabotaging me from accomplishing my goals is number one, I guess, self-sabotaging. Number two, I wasn't rewarding myself for actually accomplishing things. I didn't really have any sort of benefit for accomplishing it, obviously outside of long-term growth, but like that instant gratification, just because that's just how I realize I am. I need that instant gratification of some sort, so why not hack that instant gratification and use it to reward myself for actually accomplishing everything I say I'm going to accomplish on that day, whether it be morning routine or whatever, the checklist of items I say I'm going to do for the day, instead of, getting sucked into some podcast rabbit hole or YouTube rabbit hole during the day, and then kind of continue to do that at night and saying, oh, well, it's nighttime now, I might as well just kind of continue doing it, instead of saying, well, no, you didn't accomplish what you said you were going to do, so you don't get to do that. And so that's kind of where I took the exercise.